Breaking news. A verdict has been reached in the trial of a former police officer accused of rape.
Water discoloration throughout parts of Dauphin County. Why this fire company says they don't appreciate the blame, coming up.
Arts programs are a large part of York County, and with looming federal cuts, those programs could be seeing a change. We'll hear how York County residents could be affected.
Using music as therapy. How music is playing a key in his recovery.
Can you really buy your way out of legal trouble that the sheriff's office is calling you about? A scam that's still making the rounds. Next.
Well, tonight the News 8 team is following several big stories. In Dauphin County, a fire department is being blamed for discolored water affecting residents. And in Lancaster County, the jury has reached a verdict in the trial against a former Lancaster police officer.
And federal cuts to arts programs across the country. A look at the impact they could have in York County.
Also, we're following breaking news. More than 2,000 customers are without power in York County. Med-Ed is reporting that 830 households are in the dark in West Manheim Township. And in Penn Township, more than 1,000 customers are without power and 124 customers in Hanover.
Meanwhile, the News 8 storm team is tracking storms across the Susquehanna Valley at this hour. Bambi Bologna sent in this video of some storm clouds in Franklin County. The News 8 storm team has made today an alert day as the intense heat lingers, but tonight there's a threat for severe thunderstorms and heavy rain. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to News 8 at 6. I'm Brian Roach.
And I'm Lori Burkholder, and let's go to Ethan Houston. I'm looking at the map behind you. I see a lot of colorful things going across.
That's right. We have very heavy rainfall and strong thunderstorms moving across parts of the Susquehanna Valley. We do have a couple of severe thunderstorm warnings I want to talk about. One starting now to move into central portions of Lancaster County. That does include Lancaster City. This severe thunderstorm warning is in effect until 6:30. You can see it's really starting to rain buckets from Columbia to Mountville, now into Manheim Township, and starting to move close to downtown Lancaster. Very heavy rain falling from Manheim to Lidditz and Ephrata. What we have to watch out for in this line of thunderstorms are winds upwards of 60 miles per hour, possibly some hail upwards of the size of pennies, and very heavy rainfall that could cause some minor flash flooding. There is still an active severe thunderstorm warning for you folks in southern York County, but I'm about to sound the all clear here. Worst of the storm now moving into Baltimore County, where it's not warned. Shrewsbury, you've got light to moderate rain, but I think the severe weather threat for this specific warning is coming to an end. But we do have some strong storms popping up where we're not warned right now in eastern York County, from Yorkana, East Prospect, and just there to the north of Rocky towards New Bridgeville, getting a nice downpour in this line of thunderstorms. I think this is the main event. If you're watching us in Lancaster County, in eastern York County, southern York County, you're getting the worst of the weather, only looking for some spotty showers and thunder showers to redevelop over the next few hours. But where it's not raining, we're still dealing with the intense heat. It's 85 in Chambersburg, feels like it's 91. And this heat isn't going anywhere. So these scattered showers and thunder showers will be possible till roughly about 10 to midnight. Then they're fizzling out. And as we go through the overnight hours, it's just going to be warm and muggy with lows near 70 degrees. The heat wave ends tomorrow. There is a big drop in temperatures. Find out how far they fall coming up in the 10-day forecast in just a few minutes.
Wait to hear that. Thank you, Ethan. To monitor the weather wherever you go, download the WGAL app. Make sure to turn on the push alerts to get the latest updates sent right to your phone.
Well, after decades and nearly 5 hours of deliberations, a jury reached a verdict in the Andrew Scott Selby trial. He is the former Lancaster City Bureau of Police officer who was charged with raping young girls while on the force.
News 8's Sarah Metz is live outside the county courthouse. She was in the courtroom, though, when the verdict was read. Sarah?
Brian and Lori, Andrew Scott Selby is guilty on 7 out of 8 counts. The not guilty verdict actually came from a rape charge that he was facing, but he had 2 others that he was found guilty of. This is Andrew Scott Selby's family and friends leaving the courthouse today. They stormed out of the courtroom after Selby was placed in handcuffs and escorted by 2 sheriff's deputies. The former Lancaster City police officer was on trial for raping and sexually assaulting 3 young females back in the late 90s, the youngest being just 11 years old. The prosecution thought that this was a clear abuse of power considering all of the victims were children in rape cases he was assigned to investigate. The judge addressed his former law enforcement background before setting a bail. He said Selby should know what prison is like, especially for men convicted of raping young children. Because of this and the nature of the crimes Selby is convicted of, the judge increased bail to $1.5 million. This trial has had its ups and downs, with many heated moments inside the courtroom, including one where I'm told the judge became visibly angry at Selby's defense attorney. This is him leaving the courthouse after the verdict. Court documents say the judge ended up fining him $1,000 for commenting on the credibility of a witness and their testimony. Now, the district attorney's office released this statement a little bit ago that reads, quote, "I would like to recognize that we wouldn't be here without the resilience of the victims who had the courage to speak the truth about what they endured at the hands of the defendant. We hope that this verdict brings peace to all of the victims that contribute to a path of healing for each and every one of them." Now, I did speak with the defense attorney afterwards. He did say that he is disappointed, but he ultimately respects the verdict. He felt as though they had a strong defense in this case, and he will continue to look if there are any possibility to appeal. In Lancaster County, Sarah Metz, WGAL News 8.
All right, Sarah, thanks for that. And we continue to follow the fallout after the Adams County Sheriff made this social media post showing a white truck with what looks like a bloody front end with a caption that says the all-new Dodge Ram Protester Edition. Well, Jenny Dumont, she sent us these photos of last night's protest against Sheriff James Mueller. She said she attended that meeting to ask the commission to take a more proactive approach in handling social media posts. She tells us that she is encouraged that the commission to develop a policy regarding social media usage for elected officials, outlining guidelines and accountability.
Right now, some people in Susquehanna Township, Lower Paxton Township, and Marysville Borough are frustrated after ongoing issues with the discoloration of their water. News 8's Bailey Martin joins us live in Susquehanna Township, Dauphin County. And Bailey, the water company is blaming a local fire company for this. Why?
Yeah, residents had started out earlier in the week raising their concerns to Veolia directly about brown and yellow water. And since then, Veolia has put out a statement on Facebook saying that the use of hydrants in the area has caused a system disturbance, causing that discoloration. The only company to use those hydrants is this one here in Susquehanna Township, Rescue 37. They say they feel like the scapegoat when this has been an ongoing issue.
At its worst, liquid rust.
Like a coffee color to maybe like Coca-Cola.
Veolia Water services areas in Dauphin and Perry counties, and after residents complained of yellow-brown water, they released a post on Facebook saying that a hydrant used near Deer Path Woods caused a system disturbance and flushing would be occurring over the next several days.
This is what it was looking like.
People like Susquehanna Township resident Doug Hessenbein say this is not a one-off occurrence.
Veolia would regularly tell me it's the apartment complex. It was built in the 60s, the pipes are old, they're cast iron, they need to be replaced. The apartment complex would tell me, well, if it's that problem, why is the water not continuously brown?
Doug moved into this brand new apartment 2 years ago after having issues with his water at his previous residence, and here a year later, those issues carry on. Tuesday evening, Rescue Fire Company number 37 conducted training at a hydrant on Deer Path Road, the one Veolia stated could be causing the discoloration.
I've been a firefighter for 40 years. It does drop the pressure in the neighborhood. And could you have some, some disturbances in the system? Absolutely. But to have coffee ground color water and blame it on one hydrant, that's discouraging.
And that's the frustration. For many years, the constant response would be, well, someone's using a hydrant. Either there's been a fire or someone's illegally using it. I would always ask, well, where's that hydrant at? We're unable to determine that.
Veolia says they cannot determine the exact cause, but they are working around the clock to clear water for residents. Veolia was in Lower Paxton Township today conducting flushing. However, when I asked their spokesperson where exactly that was happening, she was unable to tell me. She did, however, say that residents in this area should see their water start to clear within the next 24 to 48 hours. Live in Susquehanna Township, Bailey Martin, WGAL News 8.
have been cut down. You can see them laying there. This comes as construction is underway on the new anti-climb security fence. State police say this new fence is part of an effort to increase security at the mansion after a man jumped the current fence, broke into the mansion, and started a fire back in April. 38-year-old Cody Balmer is charged with arson, attempted murder, and terrorism for that attack.
Well, across the country, arts and cultural programs are being hit with funding cuts from the federal level. News 8's Marcy Walsh has more about how these cuts might impact programs right here in the Susquehanna Valley. Marcy.
Brian, Lori, these grants are funded through the National Endowment for the Humanities and for the Arts. But many of these grants that have already been awarded are now being terminated, including those for the Cultural Alliance of York County.
If there's uncertainty around that budget that you've been depending on for so long, we have to scramble and change gears.
Arts and cultural programs are all over York County, from story time at the library to events happening in local parks. With funds being cut from the National Endowment for the Humanities and the Arts, that could change.
So the real life impact of that is that you're going to have 25 nonprofit organizations just in York County that are not able to come out and offer all of the things that you're used to being able to experience.
One program in particular that might see an impact, Make Music Day. The Cultural Alliance of York got a 2-year grant last year for that program to pay musicians to perform. Now, that money is gone.
So when you are planning for an event a year out and then all of a sudden that evaporates, it really changes how you have to figure things out and how you have to recoup that money from other places or change your programming.
Some say resources like these are too valuable to lose.
I think it's really important for kids to learn to read and, get to know books and stories.
And Whitney tells me that the real uncertainty for these local programs will begin next summer in August of 2026. For now, live in York, I'm Marcy Walsh, WGAL News 8.
Hey, Marcy, thank you. And as part of the Music for Everyone program, back in May, pianos were put in various spots across the city, part of the keys for the city. And today, News 8 was out in Lancaster and met a recovering addict who was playing. News 8 photojournalist Dan Maddox introduces us to Jeremy Matthews.
I get a lot of compliments. People give me money sometimes, but I usually won't take it, or I'll just give it to somebody, that needs it more than me. Jeremy Matthews. I'm from Pittsburgh. I'm 40 years old. I'm an inspiring musician, piano player. I started playing it 3 years ago in rehab. It's a form of meditation for me. I've been through a lot of trials and tribulations, and I'm blessed to be sober today. I got out of rehab 3 months ago, and I actually came here on a train homeless because I didn't want to go back to Pittsburgh. Too much trauma. I've had a lot of loss, man. I lost my girlfriend. I lost two of my best friends. Yeah, it's been about 3 years I've been playing. So now I'm trying to step it up and play real music, but I don't have anybody to teach me. I don't have any money to teach me, so I got to learn on YouTube. That's actually the reason I moved back to Lancaster, because I like the pianos that they're on every corner. I like composing. I like trying to make music myself. I'm learning slowly, and it was just, just messing around on a little baby keyboard. I play a lot. I got a lot of hours on it. I got a sponsor. I'm doing everything I'm supposed to be doing, man. God's really blessed me, and I'm just so grateful to have this chance again. Every day I wake up and I live a life of gratitude. Work on a lot of my character defects and a lot of my behaviors. That way I can stay sober and, become a man, a better version of myself. I just want to make a difference in the world with my music and art. Shoot for the stars, they say. I'm a dreamer.